Some are born with a silver spoon. She was born with a target on her back. Her name is Arissa LeBrock, a name that carries the weight of Hollywood mythology, the daughter of an action god and a supermodel icon. But behind that name, behind the blinding privilege, is a story of brutal, soul-crushing rejection. A story of a dream so close, it was stolen in a single catastrophic instant. This isn't a fairy tale about a celebrity playing wrestler. This is a nightmare about a fighter who was told she was finished. A woman who fell into a darkness so deep, most never return. But a secret call from a wrestling outcast would change everything. And what happened next? It didn't just make waves. It sent a shockwave through the entire industry. How does a broken dreamer, cast aside by the biggest company in the world, rise from the absolute ashes to create a moment no one saw coming? This is the story you were never meant to hear. To understand the fight, you have to understand the gilded cage she was born into. Arissa LeBrock grew up in a world that wasn't real. Her father, Steven Seagal, a man who became a living legend by breaking bones on screen, a legitimate 7th Dan black belt in Aikido. He wasn't playing a role, he was the role. Stoic, lethal, untouchable. Her mother, Kelly LeBrock, the fantasy of an entire generation, the literal perfect woman from Weird Science, a supermodel whose face was a global passport. Arissa was born into a world where every door was supposed to be open, but every one of those doors led to a path someone else had chosen for her. A movie, set, a fashion runway, and she tried to walk that path. She found success as a plus-size model, becoming a champion for body positivity. She starred on reality TV, proving the LeBrock name still had power. But it was all a mask. Inside, her father's violent legacy wasn't just in her blood, it was a calling. A whisper that grew into a deafening roar. She found her truth not under the hollow glare of studio lights, but on the cold, hard mats of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This was no Hollywood hobby. It was a raw obsession. The sweat was real. The pain was real. The submissions were real. She pushed her body past its limits, embracing the grind, the art of the fight. She bled for it, and she won. A silver medal at a world championship. She had finally done it. She had merged the performance art of her mother with the brutal combat art of her father. And that's when the phone rang. It was the call every aspiring fighter on the planet dreams of. The global empire of wrestling, WWE, had seen her. They wanted her. The WWE Performance Center, a factory where giants are made and legends are born. For Arissa, this was it. The chance to prove she was more than a name. Legacies are forged in this place, but they are just as easily buried. And the children of legends, they're watched with eagle eyes, with everyone just waiting for them to fail. Arissa had an edge, a secret weapon. Her BJJ skills were real, undeniable. This wasn't a fantasy. This was her destiny. She was ready to silence the doubters. She was ready to begin. And then, in a single, gut-wrenching moment, it was all over. A catastrophic injury. The specifics were kept quiet, buried by the WWE machine. But the result was brutally public. A career. Dead on arrival. Imagine it. The summit is in sight, and an avalanche sweeps you right back to the bottom. Her body, the one thing she had honed into a weapon, had betrayed her. She fell into what she herself called the darkest, worst place in my life. But a second betrayal was coming, one that cut deeper than any physical injury. Her own father, the martial arts purist, he saw professional wrestling as a circus, a cheap imitation of the warrior's code he lived and breathed by. In his eyes, her dream was a disgrace. She wasn't just broken physically, she was broken spiritually. To the world, she was a footnote, a failed experiment, forgotten, but they were all wrong. A phone rang in the darkness. On the other end, a voice that understood her pain. Dustin Rhodes, a wrestling icon. the son of the legendary American Dream Dustin Rhodes, a man who had spent his entire life fighting to escape his own father's shadow. He didn't see a failure. He saw a fighter. He offered her a second chance, not a shortcut, a lifeline, a spot at his wrestling school in Texas, the Rhodes Wrestling Academy. She left everything behind. In that small, gritty, sweat-stained gym. In Austin, she was not Arissa LeBrock, daughter of Hollywood. She was a student, a rookie. She had to learn everything from scratch. How to fall, how to hurt, how to bleed and get back up again. She had to learn the violent art of telling a story with her body. Dustin Rhodes watched in awe. "She's doing a great job," he said, the pride in his voice impossible to hide. "But this is only the beginning for her." He saw the fire everyone else thought had been extinguished. He saw a hunger that was almost scary. And then he made a chillingly accurate prediction. Pretty soon, the whole world's going to be talking about Arissa LeBrock. She wasn't just training. She was rebuilding her soul. Piece by painful piece. She was no longer seeking anyone's approval. She was preparing for war. March 2023. A small showcase. No giant screens. No pyrotechnics. Just a ring in a small building in front of a handful of die-hard fans who know what real sacrifice looks like. This was her moment of truth. When she walked through that curtain, her ring name said it all. Wristlock Arissa LeBrock. A defiant nod to her father's legacy, twisted into her own brand of punishment. The bell rang, and in that instant, everything changed. This wasn't a model trying to wrestle. This was a predator. She moved with a frightening intensity. A seamless, violent fusion of her BJJ grappling and the bone-jarring power of pro wrestling. The small crowd was stunned into silence, then erupted. They were witnessing a birth. The woman who had been shattered, who had been left for dead by the industry, was now a picture of terrifying charisma. She won the match. But it was so much more than a victory. As she stood in the center of that ring, her arm raised, she wasn't Steven Seagal's daughter. She wasn't a WWE reject. She was a professional wrestler, forged in fire, baptized in pain. And she had just put everyone on notice. A legacy is not what you inherit. It's what you build from the rubble. Arissa didn't use her name to open doors. She used it as a wrecking ball to shatter every expectation. The wrestling world is buzzing. But the most powerful reaction came from the one man whose approval she thought she'd lost forever. Steven Seagal, the stoic warrior, saw the footage. He saw the fight. He saw the sacrifice. And the man who once saw wrestling as a circus was reportedly filled with a single powerful emotion: pride. He finally saw the warrior in his daughter. Not one from a movie, but a real one. What does it truly mean to honor a legacy? Arissa's story is a testament to the untamable human spirit. She was born with a name that could give her anything, but she chose to earn it instead. She's paying her dues in small towns, one brutal match at a time, building her own empire on her own terms. Her journey is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. A warrior with her skills, her look, and her story of resilience is a dangerous thing. The question is no longer if she will make it to the top. The question is, who will be brave enough to stand in her way? Who do you think Wristlock Arissa LeBrock should face next? Let us know in the comments. And if this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of impossible comebacks.